Welcome to Patriot 6. In this tutorial, I will show you all the wonderful uses of polygons. I will show you how to get rid of those pesky trees and unwanted water. I will also include additional polygon uses as bonus topics. If you haven't started using SDK, please go to the video on the screen and there you will find a tutorial for beginners that will teach you how to get started in SDK. Today's tutorial will begin with the scenery files already ready for building, and the basics will not be included. Here are the subjects for today's video. Learn to make a polygon, remove trees, remove water from bridges, remove buildings and replace buildings, add trees, replace ugly 3D photogrammetry trees, add water, add a texture, save the scenery, build the final package, move the package to the community folder or scenery folder, test the package, and then a wrap up. So now let's start the tutorial.
Patriot Six Scenery Builder. Learn to build with SDK, creating scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Patriot Six Scenery Builder. It's time to create, cast your fears away. Patriot Six Scenery Builder. Learn to build with SDK, creating scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Patriot Six Scenery Builder. It's time to create, cast your fears away.
Before I upload each video, I go through the video and mark timelines to set chapters. And I do this to make it more convenient for the viewer. Anytime you're watching one of the videos, you can drop down to the description, tick on the Show More, and as you roll through the Show More, it will have pertinent information like the Patriot Six Channel, the Patriot Six Scenery Group, Discord, any videos that I believe are relevant to the subject, and then you get into the chapters of the video. This is the subject content, and here are the basic tutorials. You can skip around, or you can come back and find a chapter that you may need to rewatch later simply by ticking on the number, and you will immediately go to the chapter that you selected. Learn to make a polygon. And now let's learn how to build a polygon. I will put a slide up where you can take a screenshot that describes the steps to take to build a polygon. Select Polygon on the Objects window. Tick Add. Hold the left control key down and keep the key pressed. Add polygon points with the left mouse button. Once a polygon is complete, you can end the polygon with a double tick on the left mouse button. I will go up to the Objects window and I will select Polygon. On the Objects window, I will tick Add. I will hold the left control key down and keep the key pressed. I will add polygon points with the left mouse button. Once a polygon is complete, I will end the polygon with a double tick on the left mouse button. So here we go. Let's go up to the Objects window and select Polygon. And now I'm going to tick Add. And if your screen resolution is good enough, you will see a red cross following my cursor. Now I am pressing the left control key, and I'm going to tick with the left mouse button. And then I'm going to keep the left control key down, and I'm going to move to the next location and tick the left mouse button again, and again, and again, and again, and again. You can make the polygon any shape you want, and again. And with this one, I'm going to double tick. Now the polygon is complete. And just like any other object, you can actually move the polygon around. And if you look on the scenery editor, you will see a polygon. If there was a problem with the polygon, this would be red and you would have an error. You see there is no problem because this is a complete polygon. When you tick on items, you can tick and grab it this way just by ticking around it. Or sometimes it gets a little tedious if you have a lot of objects out and you have a hard time finding the object you want. You can go over to the scenery editor and select whatever you want and tick on it. And now I have the polygon selected, and now I'm going to delete the polygon. If you're building elaborate polygons, from time to time you're going to make a mistake. The best thing to do is start over. If you've got a lot of time in the polygon, if you're building intricate builds like concrete walkways and things that you may get into when you're building scenery, and you make a mistake, then there are ways to restart the polygon if you need to, and I will show that later. Remove trees. Here's something that you'll see quite often in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and honestly, it was the same way in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. The simulator uses AI to generate buildings where there's no 3D photogrammetry. It also uses AI to generate a lot of things, including vegetation. So in essence, the simulator is looking at the ground below and it's trying to interpret what it needs. And sometimes it will interpret objects like a bridge or a building to be a tree, and it will add trees in. And you end up with a situation like this, which if you're buzzing around low over the town here, this would be an immersion killer. So we're going to get rid of the trees and we're going to use a polygon to do it. Get everything where I can see well. And up on the objects window, we still have polygon ticked. So as I did before, I'm going to follow the exact same steps and build a polygon. I'm going to tick add and hold the left control key down and maintain it. And while we're here, you can look over at the scenery editor and you see the polygon is red. That's because it's not complete and there's an error. So you will see an error until you get the polygon complete. So I'm going to start about here, and I'm going to put my first anchor point, and I'm going to come out here and put one. I want to take care of these trees out here also. And with the left control key down, I'm using the left mouse button to set each anchor point. Another point. Point here, 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 here. And this will be my last one, so I'll double tick. And now the polygon is complete. And you notice on the scenery editor, the polygon is white. That means it's good to go. If you followed my first tutorial, I told you that the properties window will show the properties of whatever you have ticked. And right now, on the scenery editor, we have the polygon ticked, so we see the properties of the polygon, which at this time it doesn't have any properties. So I'm going to roll down on the properties window and find vegetation and select. Initially off the bat, it's going to place vegetation in the entire polygon. But what we're going to do is we're going to go down to scale and we're going to take it all the way to 0. And we're going to take the density all the way down to 0. And now the trees are gone. And we'll come down here and take a good look at it. So that is how we get rid of trees. You will use this a lot. Remove water from bridges. Another thing that is common to MSFS is water over roads and bridges. As you can see here, there's water. Well, is it there? It seems to change as you move. Now there's a lot of water. Not as much water. So again, we're going to use a polygon to fix this. And I believe there's water on the bridge down here. So again, on the Objects window, I'm going to select Polygon, tick Add, left control key down, use the left mouse button to make a polygon. Double tick to complete the polygon. And I'm going to select the polygon. And in the properties, you see water. I'm going to tick water. And I'm going to tick exclude. Now the trick to it is finding out what type of water it is. I would call this a river, but in the simulator it might not be a river, it might be ocean, since this water feeds into the ocean. So I'm going to select river first. And it appears river is a winner. So we've got that bridge cleared. And let's go down here and clear this bridge. Same process, build a polygon. Over on the properties, I'm going to water, exclude, and let's try river again. And that seems to be the ticket. So we had those two bridges fixed. Now I saw something very interesting down here. I saw these two ships docked and I noticed trees are on them. And I also noticed that water is on the marina. So let's see if we can make that better. Let's get rid of the trees first. Sometimes on boats you'll see trees and water. Rolling down to vegetation. Taking the density and scale to 0. And there we go. That looks a lot better. Let's exclude the water and see if we can make this marina look a little better. It's a little touchy with marinas because it's hard to get it perfect, because there's slips in between with water and some without water. So it's probably not going to be perfect, but I'll do the best I can. First of all, what I'm going to do is build a temporary polygon. And I'm going to exclude water. And river is still working. We wouldn't want to keep it this way all the time because it doesn't look right with all of the water missing. So I'll do what I can to build a polygon and clean up this particular marina here. This is going to be an intricate polygon. Okay, with the polygon completed, I'm going to remove the larger temporary polygon. Now I'm going to select the new polygon. I'm going to water, exclude, river, and there we go. Is it perfect? No, but it's sure better than it was before. Remove and replace buildings. Here's a situation that you run into quite frequently out in the AI generated areas. These are areas where you do not have 3D photogrammetry, and so the artificial intelligence is trying to interpret what's on the ground. It sees a building, so it places a building. But the building might not look anything like the building looks like in real life. For an example here, this is an apartment complex near my home, and it doesn't look anything like this. So I'm going to replace the building. And the first thing we're going to do is start out with a polygon. Again, I'm going to have to change from scenery to polygon. And now I'm going to build a polygon around this building. And with the polygon built, over on the properties window, I'm going to buildings and hit exclude all. And now the building is gone. It should be just a 2D image on the earth. It is. And now I'm going to place this building with something that looks closer to what it looks like in real life. It won't be perfect. The only way to get it perfect is to go into Blender and build your own models, but it will be an improvement over what we see here. So to do that, I'm going to have to go back to scenery. And I'm just going to type in building. General building. This is actually what I was looking for. So I'm going to tick on this and hit add. And there's a building. On the gizmo, I'm going to make sure the gizmo's on translate. And now I'm going to put the building here, and you can scale the building to whatever size you need. Tick rotate on the gizmo, spin it around. Translate and slide it into position. Here's a neat thing. You got all of these assets in your scenery library, and you can use your imagination to turn them into something they're not. So for example, I can take this one building here and use it multiple times, and it doesn't matter if they collide into each other or not. You can slide it in and make it look correct. So let's experiment around here and see what I can do. And you can also copy. Say for an example, I've scaled this building to a size I want, and I want to keep this scale. I can go down to the scenery editor and hit duplicate, and it will make a second one, and I can slide it over and you have two. Now I'm going to duplicate a second one and slide it over here. And you see they're clashing together, but that's fine. So I'll add another building, and I'm going to scale it down. Not used to it disappearing. Okay. Now, even though this building is clashing into this one, it doesn't matter. Make sure I have this building ticked. I'm going to duplicate. Slide one here. And I'm going to duplicate another, and I'm going to slide it here. Now, once this is built, everything should show up, because when you're in developer mode, you are using a lot of resources. We see they're there, so after the package is built, we'll come back and take a look at it. Add trees. So what if we run into a situation where we need to add trees? Believe it or not, those situations do come up. I see it a lot in hilly and mountainous areas where for whatever reason the AI doesn't pick up the trees. So it's going to be a pretty easy thing to do, just the opposite of basically what we did earlier. But again, we're going to use a polygon. So I'm going to have to go from scenery back to polygon. And now I'm going to build a polygon here and add trees. With the polygon built, I'm going over to the properties. I'm going back down to vegetation. Now, as soon as I select vegetation, it's going to fill that area in with trees. But if you want to change the scale and make them larger, you can. And if you want to make them more or less dense, you can. I'll make them really tall so they stand out. So that's how you add trees. Replace ugly 3D photogrammetry trees. Here's a situation that you run into in the 3D photogrammetry areas. The 3D photogrammetry was a game changer for us, as it gives us the ability to have the cities in 3 dimensions. However, the 3D photogrammetry is good at a distance, but not so good when you get up close. It does a better job with some things than it does others. What we're looking at here is palm trees. That is not a good looking palm tree. So if this beach here in California was important to you, you may want the palm trees to look better. Maybe you're flying your helicopter over this beach and you want to fix them. So I'm going to show you how to do that. There is a lot of trees here, so instead of doing the whole beach, I'm going to concentrate in one area here and improve the palm trees. The first thing I'm going to do is to build a polygon, of course. That's what this video is about. And with this polygon, I'm going to exclude vegetation. And basically all I'm excluding is this one tree here, but it is AI generated vegetation. So I have the polygon ticked on the properties window. I'm going to vegetation, pull the sliders down, pull the density down, and now the AI generated trees are gone. However, we still have the 3D photogrammetry palm trees, or palm, what would you call those? Palm blobs. Now, I'm going to build another polygon. You can overlap polygons. It doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt to overlap them. Okay, in this polygon, I'm going to exclude buildings. That's right, you heard me correctly, buildings. Because the 3D photogrammetry falls under buildings. So with the polygon ticked up on the properties, I'm going to buildings, exclude all. And now the palm trees are gone. In case you're wondering, we're at Santa Monica Pier. If you look through Los Angeles, my goodness, all the palm trees, yeah, it could use a lot of work, but for the sake of this tutorial, we're not going to do all that. Up on the objects window, I'm going to go to scenery. So I happened to find this Palm, California. I'm going to tick on it and click Add. Move in a little closer where I can see. One thing we can do for speed, up on the Objects window, I'm going to tick one-click placing. And now I'm just going to pop some palm trees in here. Okay, that looks a lot better. Add a texture. So while I'm here, I'm going to add a texture. And what it's going to do is cover up the images on the ground. It's going to cover up these dark spots here. It's going to cover up the shadows that are there from the aerial photography. What you want to do is match the color as best you can. So I'm going to use the Windows snipping tool to get a sample of this area. Okay, now I'm going to open it in Paint. And with it open in Paint, I can sample the colors. And there's the colors I'll be using, so I'll move this over to the side. Now let's draw another polygon. Now I'm going to bring up the material editor. And I'm going to go to a Sobo ground. And I'm going to look for sand. Here's ground sand. I'm going to the properties and move all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to grab the ground sand from the material library and drag it over into material. I will move the material out of the way. Now we want to match the color. So we roll down a little farther and we see coloration, and we can tick on the coloration and bring this window up where I can see it. And looking at the colors of the sample I picked, red should be 211, green should be 191, and blue should be 175. Okay. Let's see what else we need to do with this. You can change the opacity of it. It seems to be wide open. I can still see things through it, but I think that's as good as it's going to get. Let's see, go to the properties and opacity, and yeah, it gets worse as you take it down. So let's take it all the way up. You can change the tiling if you wish to. By changing the tiling, it just gives it a different look. The one thing that really helps is a fall off. Now if we add some fall off to this, it will gradually bleed out and then you can't really tell. So I'll put a 10-meter fall off and see how that looks. And that looks pretty good. Add missing water. Believe it or not, you'll run into situations where water is missing. So you can have both. You can have water where it doesn't need to be. You could have water missing where it should be. As I say that, I look there and I see where trees need to be added. I was looking before and couldn't find a location, but here's a location here where trees are missing. So you see that it does happen. This here is near my old hometown, and this here is a private lake. but there is no water in it. I kind of expected this because it was the same way on Flight Simulator 2020. So now what I'm going to have to do is build a pretty elaborate polygon. You already know how to do polygons. You've seen me do them several times. I will build the polygon and I will be back. So here's what I did. I built two polygons, one for this side and one for this side. And I'm going to do a couple things special to make this look good. So I'm going to select the polygon. I'm going to pull up the material editor. On the property, since I had the polygon selected, I'm going to roll down to the bottom. I'm going to look for a Sobo ground. I'm going to take ground sand and move the ground sand over to the material. It already has a color because I tested this, and I went to the coloration and changed the color of the sand so that it will look better with the water over the top of it. I'm going to select the second polygon. I'm also going to use ground sand, and now I'm going to match up the color. And I have the colors here. So that will be red 4, green 7, and blue 21. Now I have the colors in there for the ground mesh. While editing this video, I realized I did not explain the next step good enough. What I want is two identical polygons on each side of the lake. One polygon will be for a ground texture and the second polygon will be for lake water. I could create two polygons for each side, but that would be a lot of work and take a lot of time. The easiest way to get this done is to duplicate each polygon, giving me two identical polygons on each side. With one polygon I will add the ground texture and the second polygon will be for the lake water. And I'm going to remove the material. And now I'm going to add water and make it lake water. I'm going to the second polygon. The same thing, I'm going to duplicate. And then over in the properties, I'm going to remove the material. And I'm going to roll up to the top and hit water and hit lake water. There we go. That's a pretty good looking lake. Save the scenery. I've done all I'm going to do, so I'm going to save the scenery. On the scenery editor, tick Save Scenery. The scenery saved. Build the final package. On the project editor, select the package. On the project inspector, tick Build Package. The package is built, the console's up, and we have not introduced any errors to it, so that's a good thing. And now with everything saved and built, I can shut the editors down. Move the package to the community folder or scenery folder. I'm going to bring up the working scenery folder. I'm also going to navigate to the community folder. Here's a 2024 community folder. Now on the working scenery folder, I'm going to locate the package. It's Patriot 6 Polygon Test. I'm going to open it. I'm going to locate the packages and open this folder. And there's the package. I'm going to copy the package. And I'm going to paste it into the community folder. And now I'm going to shut down and restart the sim, and we'll take a look at the work that we've done. Test the package. Okay, when the package moved to the community folder and the sim restarted to pick up the package, I'm going to take a look at the bridge where I removed trees. And now there's the bridge, and that certainly looks a lot better without all the trees on it. And now we're going to go take a look at the water over the bridges that I removed, and the boats I cleaned up, and the docks that I cleaned up. And here is the boat dock that I cleaned up and removed the water from. Here are the two boats that I took trees off of. Here is a bridge that I removed the water from. And the second bridge down here also had water removed. So that's certainly an improvement. And now let's go look at the buildings that I replaced. And here is the building that I replaced. Move up, and over here we'll see the trees that I added. Here are the trees that I added. And now we're going to have to move out to California to Santa Monica Pier and see the palm trees. And you can see the palm trees, and I did make this mesh here to cover up the ground. And the palm trees look good. And now I'm going to the last location and take a look at the lake. And now the lake is spawned in, and that's a pretty good lake if I have to say so myself. See the sun glisten off the water? That looks a lot better than what was there before. Wrap up. So to recap what we did with polygons in this video, we removed trees, we removed water from bridges, we removed buildings and replaced buildings, we added trees, we replaced ugly 3D photogrammetry trees, we added water, and we added a texture. Everything has been tested and works. And that's some of the things that you can do with polygons. Again, it is a very handy tool. It is the backbone of building scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator, is to be able to do polygons, change textures, and make the corrections like remove trees, add water, etc. But you will find this a very useful tool. So I want to thank you for watching. If you're not a subscriber, I'd appreciate a subscription. I appreciate a thumbs up. And please drop a comment in. The engagement really helps algorithm and helps the channel. I will continue to make videos, but for now I'm going to say goodbye, and thanks for watching Patriot 6. Be well, be safe, and take care of yourselves.
Patriot Six.